Hey everyone, this is Nitro. In this video, I am going to review a Summit the Langrisser top 16 match between Maebari and Concede. So both players have gotten very deep in previous Apex seasons, so they're both experienced Apex players. Well, I mean, if they got into the top 16 of Summit the Langrisser, they have to be pretty darn good at Apex in general. Right? So taking a look at Maebari's box, it has quite a few, I would say, unique characteristics. For example, there is Toa, Ultimuller, Bozol, and Licorice. So there are it's like a hybrid of multiple factions, if you will, right? There's two dark faction buffers for Kiura. There is Ultimuller to faction buff Toa. There is also Juggler, of course, to faction buff up Toa. And there's Hilda to faction buff up Toa as well. So there's I guess kind of two plans, if you will. You can go towards the Toa side with 3 faction buffs, and then there's also the Kiura side with 2 faction buffs. Right? And of course, pretty much everyone else is pretty typical. You know, Florentia and Liana act again healers, SP Cherie, Lollygess, you know, Rosenseal, Bernhard, so on and so forth. On Concede side, it is basically full-on meta as well. Okay, there is Bozol and no Licorice. There is Kruger and Hobo, and I guess the unique character in this box would be Mew. Right? So I mean, you don't see very many Mews, especially since she's just recently released. But yeah. So and there is also Landius. So Landius and Juggler and Hilda, 3 tanks. So we'll see how this plays out. Right? So let's see how the pick ban occurs. Lucretia is banned on Maebari side, and then Lucretia bans first. Okay, and Maebari plays Kiura right away. So Rosenseal and Hilda get banned next, and SP Shariq for Concede. So the 2 act again characters, Florentia and Liana, are removed next. And Maebari plays the next assassin, which is Toa. Double assassin there. So Ultimuller and SP Shuri are banned. Alright. Rosenseal for Concede. Now this is interesting because I guess Toa's only faction buff now would be Juggler. Right? So let's see if he does pick Juggler. So Lollygess, Kiura ban, and he does play Juggler, yes. So Lollygess and Florentia ban now. Maebari still has both faction buffs, the dark faction buffs for Kiura. Hobo for Concede. Okay. So first, Bozol and Kruger ban. Maebari plays Bozol, the dark faction buffer. There we go. Loses Licorice and Helena, and is left with Liana and Bernhard. Right. So Concede plays a teleporter now. Not sure that works out well for player 2. Right? Even if you teleport a character forward, it's rather difficult to have her attack without taking any hits. We'll see. Right? It's because Maebari has so many long-range movement characters. With Juggler, with Toa, with Kiura, they can all choose to hit SP Shuri if she gets teleported forward. But we'll see how this works out. What does Maebari do? Liana, act again. And Concede plays Hilda last, a tank. So Concede has a tank, healer, and then I guess 2 damage dealers and oh my gosh, Mew for teleporting, while Maebari has 2 assassins, Juggler to jump, Bozol to faction buff and AoE, and then Liana to act again. Alright. I would say advantage goes to Maebari. Really. Both sides have a tank and act again character, but I feel like Maebari's 2 assassins is a better combo than Concede's characters. So there's the faction buff. What happened there just now? Sorry. I kind of want to go back. A debuff. Okay, so the debuff occurred because of Mew, right? Mew's talent 6-star. Oh my god, 6-star Mew. Alright, okay. 6-star Mew, 100% chance to debuff enemies as long as they're on grass. So because Bozol just faction buffed on the spot, he received a debuff. Jeez, 6-star right away. So, 2 faction buffs to start things off. Hilda really just faction buffs herself, doesn't she? If she is bringing a faction buff. Yeah, she is. So no faction buff on Rosenseal because Hobo will buff Rosenseal and Mew. Hilda buffs herself and Shuri is just lacking a faction buff, period. But Shuri does get some stat bonuses from Mew if she's fighting on grassland or on forest. So there is that to consider. Alright, so Maebari does the smart thing. Turn 1 trigger of Act Again so that Juggler can move again, first of all, but more importantly, the reason for that Act Again is so that he will go second. Alright, so going second with lots of long-range characters and an Act Again character is a big advantage. Right? Interesting thing about Liana is bringing Summon Sky Archer with Gospel. I personally like to bring Heal rather than the Summon Sky Archer, but I guess the Summon Sky Archer is to keep it so that even if a character dies, Kayura still has the 5 characters necessary to trigger her passive effect of getting 3 additional movement. Right? So let's say Toa suicide attacks. Then you can drop the summon and still Kayura can move long range. Meanwhile, since he's constantly placing characters on 4 styles, they're all getting debuffs like attack reduction. Mew can be pretty annoying in that sense. Of course, Liana helps dispel a lot of those, so that's something to keep in mind too. Like that. So he did dispel the one on Toa, didn't dispel the one on Kayura. Kind of interesting. I mean, move very differently from what I would have done. I probably would have placed Liana here to remove the both debuffs on these 2 characters, but nonetheless, yeah, he can dispel it this way too, with the Summon Sky Archer. Just different choices there. As long as it's dispelled, that's what's most important, I think. So Concede already triggers Crystal Ward early. And for whatever reason, Kayura chooses to attack Rosenseal, who has triggered it. Kind of an odd choice, really. Oh, as a side note, look at the bishops with extremely high magic defense just totally tanking that. Right? Bishops are normally considered characters that get, a lot of defense, but they also seem to have very high base magic defense. So they're actually very tough soldiers to deal with in general, right? Having 30% extra defense as well as high magic defense there. So, and Kayura just didn't hit them for all that much, so that all the damage was just absorbed by the bishops, and the Faceless wasted hits on the bishops as well. Just an interesting strike. I'm not sure what the reason behind that one was, truthfully. Anyways. There goes Toa, triggering an Act Again skill, triggering the second Act Again skill, and then now she can ignore guard to strike Shuri and one-shot her. Now, that was actually quite interesting. So, once again, let's go back a little bit here. Right? So, Supremacy Strike does 1.5 times damage, right? And then for every buff you have, it gets another 2% damage increase. But if you have a faction buff, you also ignore guard. So what she was doing was tactical guidance will transfer some buffs to Kiura first, right? While allowing her to move 2 more blocks. Then her 3C will allow her to act again, right? So when you use it, you can move further and strike once more. So 2 movement skills and then the supremacy strike. Let's take a look at that again. Tactical guidance, some buff transferring, military stratagem to act again, 3 more tiles of movement, and then the double fixed damage managed to break Cherie's last just enough so that she can get hit. Right? I'm assuming this Cherie probably has last rites, right, with Glory of the World. So the first break, the second, which is Twilight Star, she heals from Glory of the World, but that wasn't enough to restore her to full health. And so Toa takes it down. Mew quickly kills her. Toa back. But it's definitely a good trade for Maebari. And then Kiura now takes out Mew. So 4 on 3, just like that. Right? And Concede has lost his sole damage dealer. Right? Realistically, Hobo is not scary at all. As like a sole AoE character, there's nothing to be afraid of with Hobo. So the fact that this is a 4 on 3, where Juggler can and pretty much guard, it's over. At least I don't see any way for Concede to win. Like, not with Kiura endlessly, just striking and retreating. Granted, the Wave Whispers will be annoying, but they're not going to win the match for him. Oh, wow. Although, that's definitely annoying if he keeps clocking like that. Because every clock means more terrain applied. So he really had no choice but to jump forward, right? Because he doesn't want to keep getting pushed back. I might have waited till next turn, but doesn't really matter there. It's perfectly okay to jump there. And the AoEs, one after another, removes all the immunity debuff stacks that Rosenseal had previously cast. So Rosenseal re-adds them with Mass Crystal healing there. But another Descent of Chaos should get rid of them again and start applying some debuffs at this point. So yeah, at least there's cannot use passive skills, right? At least one more debuff there. So Concede still has the opportunity to cast yet another AoE. And there it is, Wave Whisper number 3. Endlessly getting knocked back. And it finally ends. No more clocks. Okay, that was weird. Why did he not keep... Why did he leave the Treant in poison? Not sure about that. Just careless, I guess. Oh well. If this had moved forward a bit, you could start getting even that Treant onto these tiles. Oh, I guess I was trying to avoid Kiura. That might be it. But as we just saw, Kiura got the attack anyways. Oh, a ram attack on Juggler. But Bozo casting yet another Abyss of Chaos. It's actually kind of interesting to see this because despite all these casts, Bozo is barely managing to break through to apply debuffs. Oh, but a cannot be healed debuff got triggered onto Sage of Retreats here. Hilda has none, and Rosensteel has one. And due to Gospel on Juggler from Liana, the Ram did not actually apply mobility debuffs onto Juggler. So that Ram was mostly wasted, you can say. And yeah, Concede finally gives up. It's just not a good situation for him in general. I just don't see how Concede could kill all the enemy characters of Maebari there. So that was very much determined by the pick ban, right? The fact that Concede only had one SP Shuri for actual damage output, while Maebari had 2 assassins, was just bad news. So the second battle, backup characters were swapped in. So Toa was removed for Kruger. Interesting. And Concede did no swaps. So this time around, first ban of Kiura on both sides. Lucretia start. So Hilda, Rosensteel, 2 of the faction buffers for Lucretia. And Lucretia start on the other side too. So Rosensteel and Florentia bans there. Interesting. Kruger right away. Very interesting. What's going on here? So Liana and Bozo ban now. I'm actually kind of confused about these bans so far. But again, I don't play a box like this, so we'll see. Liana for Concede. Okay, so act again character as player 2. Okay. So both tanks are now removed. So, oh, sorry, there is Juggler though. Both revival tanks are removed, I should say. So Lolijess next. Okay. Alright, SP Shuri and Juggler ban now. SP Shuri for Concede. I'm surprised Maebari keeps allowing SP Shuri. I think this is going to be very, very bad for him. Because he does not... But we'll see. I mean, it's possible I think with Angels, neither of these 2 characters can one-shot Shuri this way. But yeah. So, Bernhard, Juggler ban, Helena, okay. SP ult, Bernhard are gone. Lolijess. They end up with... I'm guessing Florentia here? Let's see. So, Mew and Hobo, Florentia, yeah. And then on Concede side, Bozo and Kruger. They end up with very similar picks at the end of the day. Lolijess, Lolijess. Lucretia, Lucretia. You know, Kruger, Kruger. Act again healer, act again healer. But Maebari has Helena, while Concede has SP Shuri. And I think SP Shuri will win this for Concede. Especially since he's player 2 and has a teleport up. But let's see. Both sides have, just a side note, both sides have lots of Echoes of Light. Can't help but notice that, right? There's the Echoes of Light for Lolijess, Echoes of Light for Lucretia, for both sides. There's the Echoes of Light for Florentia's skin, Echoes of Light for Kruger's skin. Helena doesn't have an Echoes of Light though. Here, it's like we're seeing Echoes of Light skin for Kruger, right? Echoes of Light skin for Lucretia, Echoes of Light skin for Lolijess, Angel skin for Shuri, and then the Flutist skin for Liana. So skins for every character for both sides. mass attack to start to buff up everybody, but look at Florentia. I noticed that Florentia is also bringing a mass attack, so everyone can permanently remain with the stat buffs. Similarly, Light of Genesis is bringing Strengthen, with Lucretia having the mass attack, and Liana for Gospel. So no faction buffs, but they all have the attack buff. And a quick note is here, Florentia has her exclusive. Right? That's why she has, or she had, I should say, 6 strategist points, the battle strategy points. Interesting. I'm still personally running the Tenyo's headdress, but I see that here, it's running the exclusive. Both sides trigger the act again. Okay. There's the expected teleport of SP Shuri forward, and it gives SP Shuri the opportunity to basically potentially take down the Arcane Golem, then take down Lucretia, right? But Helena will get to strike first, I think. So let's see how this will all work out. Yep, here goes Helena. I don't think Helena can one-shot Shuri. Yeah. Oh, I was completely wrong! Totally wrong. So, no, it couldn't one-shot, but then the first AoE hits, right, does enough damage, and then the trigger of Holy... and then the second AoE hits, right? So combined with the Hunting, SP Shuri died. Interesting. Yeah, I do underestimate Helena, I have to say. Once again, this is one of those things about International having so many players choose to play tankless. Okay? Because, like, I don't play tankless, so I'm not encountering that kind of result. But because International is playing tankless so often, Helena really gets to showcase when she gets to kill things. And that was just one of those situations. Okay, so... yeah. So much for SP Shuri. Didn't expect that. But things certainly look a bit more interesting now. Hold on. And because the character died, this was the other thing about Florentia's exclusive, right? So Florentia's exclusive does allow her to gain strategy points every time, I believe, one of your characters dies. So because Helena died, she has 2 strategy points again, allowing her to mobility buff Lucretia. So despite not having a faction buff, Florentia has been able to get 7 strategy points to use Act Again and a mobility buff. So Maebari now teleporting forward and getting very lucky there. Alright, because Light of Genesis mobility buffed the Arcane Golem to 6 movement. This gives Maebari a lot more options than he had before. Okay. Like Lucretia can launch out an attack, then have the Arcane Golem teleport Lucretia back, and then the Arcane Golem can also retreat. And we're probably going to see this in action. Like right now. So, attack from Lucretia. Shift positions to swap. And then the 6th movement retreat. So that was huge. Oh, that was just... I would say that was unfair. Just pure RNG, giving the Arcane Golem +3 mobility. Basically rendering Concede's Lucretia useless. While Maebari's Lucretia got a free kill on the Golem. And gets teleported up again to fight. They're gonna trade range attacks. Okay, she'll die the first time, but she'll get off a second strike. And die! Wait a minute! How did that happen? One moment. Why did she die there? There was no retaliation damage from this Lucretia. Or shouldn't have been. Reflect! Ha! Oh, that's actually funny. Because I would have never expected a drop near to show up here. And Maebari clearly didn't expect a drop near either. So the drop near, 30% damage reflection against ranged attacks, killed off Maebari's Dark Reaper. You know, just a completely unexpected piece of gear, getting Concede that kill. You know, if Maebari had known, he definitely would have healed up with Florentia first before going for that strike. But nobody would expect that. Of all things, why would you run the drop near? Okay, so that unexpected piece of gear made it equal. Both sides are down to the same number of characters. Three on three. Three on two. Now Concede takes the first kill there. Concede has everyone with Glory of the World. And it's working out for him so well because it's completely stopping the Twilight Stars. Right? If the sorceresses were broken there, that would have been a kill from Light of Genesis. But because the Twilight Star restored all the health, or sorry, because the Glory of the World restored all the health that the Twilight Star did, Light of Genesis was restored to full health, which meant the sorceresses had their extra magic defense, the 45% extra magic defense. So that's why this hit failed. Right? The health restoration blocked it, and so she was at full health and just tanked the hit. And yeah. Frankly speaking, if you have that many Glory of the Worlds, you should definitely run them. But, I mean, how many people do, right? Unless you wailed hard on the equipment banner, there's no way you can have Glory of the Worlds on like all your characters. But Concede does have that. So that was interesting. But the drop near kill was actually funny. That drop near won Concede that second battle, no doubt. Otherwise, it would have been 4 on 3, and Maebari would have had a huge advantage. But the Glory of the Worlds allowing Concede's character to tank was also a massive factor. So this battle, both sides swapped out a lot of characters, didn't they? Like Concede swapped out her Mew in favor of Licorice. Interesting. I actually don't understand that. Because my thought is, as player 1, Mew is actually a good choice. Like, you can use Mew to teleport a character forward, right? And then the following turn, you can attack with that character. I don't know. That's my thought. But maybe Concede is feeling that Mew has not worked out in this battle at all. That is true too, right? Mew has appeared twice, and both times she has not done much. You know, the first battle, she teleported, she killed a character, but then died after that, right? She killed Toa and died. The second battle, she teleported Cherie forward, and Cherie got killed by Helena. So I think Concede is removing Mew because the teleports just aren't working. Alright. And then Maebari is swapped out Liana, of all characters, Licorice, and Alt. Okay, I can understand Licorice and Alt. Why swap out your Act Again character as player 2? But that's what he did. Okay. Alright. So brought in Ares, brought in Vincent, brought in Hobo. Is what that looks like. Because Kruger was already swapped in previously. So, Rosenseal ban, Kiura ban. Pick Kiura. Get rid of Florentia as well as Lucretia. And play Lucretia once again. Florentia and Bernhardt ban. And play Hilda. Okay. SP Cherie and Lolly just now. It's actually been interesting because Maebari has been completely stopping the SP Cherie, right? Concede played SP Cherie multiple times, and each time she has not been able to get her attacks off. So I'm guessing that's why Concede swapped out of using her. But my thought here is kind of, if Concede had picked SP Cherie first, let's say, then he could have picked the tank second, so that SP Cherie would have a tank protection to attack. I don't know. Kind of iffy, but yeah. All right, let's see how this goes. So Rosenseal second pick, loses SP Cherie and Bozel. Right. Licorice, okay. Juggler and Hobo are banned. Vincent for Maebari. So Empire, right? Lucretia, Rosenseal, Vincent. Juggler and Ares are banned. Bozel for Concede. Okay. So Bernhardt, Liana ban, leaving Kruger and Landius. Kruger for Maebari. And then Hobo ban, Hilda ban, Kruger for Concede, and Maebari will actually, I don't even know who he would pick here. I'm guessing Lollygess, but it could also be Helena. Both can work here. Both can actually work really well. He goes for Helena. Fair enough. Lollygess would be harder to use effectively. But Helena would definitely be easier. It's just Helena would get stopped by Hilda. Right? The attack would get stopped by Hilda, but you could still kind of do AoE damage. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. The Lollygess choice as a side note would have been you give up teleport, so you bring 3C, Meteor, and Strengthen probably. That way you can move up 3, strengthen yourself, move up 3 more, or 5 if you activate Breeze, and then launch out the Meteor AoE, potentially. And then you also have the single target strike in the 3C. Right. So that kind of Lollygess would be for hitting the enemies with AoE, combined with all the other AoE characters, right? Because Vincent is AoE here, Comet Storm and Emerald Explosion. Kruger has always been AoE, and Lucretia is AoE as well, right? Black Hole Heaven Sanction. Interesting, not bringing her exclusive, or her self-targeting AoE. Not sure why. Right. The self-targeting AoE on Lucretia applies, cannot receive buffs and cannot be healed. So that, in my opinion, is probably better than bringing Heaven Sanction. But maybe he's aware. Oh, it's probably because of Mass Protect. Mass Protect makes you immune to healing negation debuffs. But you could still, yeah. Okay, well, fair enough. Each to their own. I mean, Licorice does counter Lucretia's self-targeting AoE. So. But, yeah, let's see how this plays out. Now that is interesting, you know. The Dark Faction buff buffs up the whole party of Concede. Right. Whereas Maebari's Kruger has no buff, effectively. But still, we'll see how this plays out. Mass Protect. Right. So that this dispels some of those debuffs that are on the characters. I kind of feel like Concede has the advantage here. Looking at the two parties, that is. But, We'll see how it actually plays out. Because what I'm seeing is Licorice is a healer, right? With the mass heal that can be used endlessly. Kayura will heal against AoEs, and whenever she attacks, she provides some healing too. And then the whole party is faction buffed with a tank to protect as necessary. While Maebari does have Rosenseal, who doesn't offer all that much. And I feel like Helena would kind of struggle in this kind of battle. So that would be my initial impression. Okay, so Maebari makes the first move. Here comes the Vincent AoE. Whoa, that does way more damage than I thought. Wow, that hit really hard. If not for Kayura's heal, that would have been absolutely dangerous. It's because none of the characters have high defense, right? Neither Bozel, they're all magic defense oriented. But there was the healing, so that restored them to a decent amount of health. Okay, what's next? So Vincent strike and heal up. Maebari with the second AoE there. Once again, see, that was int base, and that really didn't do much. Right? Bozo took like nothing from the intelligence based attack. And for the matter, neither did Kayura and Licorice, who have 600 magic, around 600 magic defense. So they got very quickly restored to full health. Here comes the third AoE. Or rather, Lucretia launched a single target strike. I was wrong there. Whoops, I didn't even notice that. So, big time mispositioning of Lucretia. There. Right. That allowed... Sorry, big time mispositioning of Kayura there. That's what I meant. That allowed Lucretia to get a single target hit and kill on Kayura. If she was left in Helena's guard range, that wouldn't have happened. Oh, well, I think that maneuver, or that mistake, loses Concede the game. Right there. Vincent AoE, big damage, no healing against that one anymore. Right? Kruger now forces a set AoE hits. Okay, mass heal retreating. Vincent another AoE. Yeah, losing Kayura was absolutely fatal there. No doubt. Because down Concede was not getting any kind of healing, which Kayura would have provided. So Licorice should die, yeah. When Vincent dies, Licorice dies with him. And now that healer is gone, Helena now moves in. Against a very damaged Hilda. Getting that first kill. AoE hit. Another AoE hit. Oh wow. Barely survived there and managed to get the kill. Battle's still going on, pretty strong. So yeah, we're seeing Helena get stopped cold now, right? By Hilda. Because of the extremely high defense Hilda has. Even if... So... Once again, yeah, that just doesn't die. But there is no more healing for Concede's team. And I think that's going to cause Concede to lose. But it's going to be close. This is going to be really close. Magic Reflection should kill off Lucretia. Yep. Is there a slow effect? There is no slow effect. I thought there might have been a Goddess Left Hand. Let's take a look again. But there wasn't. So it's just... No, Goddess Left Hand tried to trigger, but Hilda did not get a slow debuff. Oh, that's because of Crimson Command. Crimson Command makes Hilda immune to effects that reduce mobility. Right? So, no mobility debuff. One of the reasons Hilda is so hard to deal with. There we go. Helena does take off the second life. And the AoE takes down Bozo. So yes, Maebari gets the win. And it all came because of that really careless Kayura positioning. If not for that, right? If we just go back here. If Kayura had been placed right here instead of one tile back, if Kayura was in Hilda's guard range, more simply, Concede would have won. But because Kayura died so early, everything collapsed. Concede lost Licorice shortly after that, you know, losing both of those healers. That could have kept his characters alive. Yeah, so unfortunate for Concede. One small mistake and he loses. But yeah, Concede definitely had the team advantage for that second battle, but unfortunately he made one really fatal error. Interesting battles to watch though. You know, that first battle, like I feel like on the whole, that first battle Maebari won the pick ban and thus won the match. That second battle went way... That second battle was really unexpected, okay, for me. I thought the second battle Maebari would have won it once SP Shuri was dead. But instead, due to Concede having dropped near and so on, Concede managed to win that second battle. And in that third battle, Concede should have won it, but making that big fatal mistake with the Kayura positioning lost him the whole match. Yeah, but interesting battles to watch overall. So that's it for this review stream. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. And on that note, Nitro out.